So here we are with David Hemmings, who's the registrar of the 928 group on PCGB, and we're at Mary Miller, 26th November 2016, with a magnificent collection of 928s. David, I think we've got, what, 30 cars here today?
Yeah, I just counted up 35 grand.
35, and we've had a few that have been and gone, so
yeah, we're close to 40.
It's about 40. So
it's a good day out for the 928 community.
Pretty good show, and I think the weather's helped as well, even though it's a bit nippy.
Yeah, it's a glorious day.
So, you know, we tend to catch up with you once a year, and I think it's fair to say that everybody's been asking. I know you've written a lot about it recently in Porsche Post about the ever increasing values of good quality 928s.
It's on everybody's tongue, what's the price of the car?
And of course, next year we've got the 40th anniversary of the launch of the original 928 4.5 litre cars. So can you just tell us a little bit about what's happening at Brooklands then next year?
Okay, so we want you to think about Brooklands 2017,
yep.
28th of May. It's a Sunday, it's the bank holiday weekend.
Lovely.
So everybody's got a very good reason to turn up at Brooklands. Junction 10 on the M25 for those that don't know. And we're looking for 100 plus cars.
So if anyone wants to come, do you rock up, or have you got a pre-book?
No, we're going to try and make it that everybody pre-books so that we've got an idea of numbers beforehand to exceed this 100 target that I'd love to have on the day.
There'll be quite a fantastic achievement if we could get over 100 cars. When was the last big meeting? What was the maximum number of cars you had there?
Well, the last big meeting was at Bewley in 2004, I think it was. We got 130 something. So if we could get that number, that would be a pleasant surprise.
And of course, sadly, since then, some 928s are no longer with us. Well, RIP. So
yeah, some of the early cars have bitten the dust, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But now that with the resurgence in the market and classical cars generally, then the 928's become popular and it's increased its value, which is what everybody's talking about here at the Mary Miller.
But of course, let's not get away from the fact that, you know, we're not buying these cars for investment. You know, they are cars to be enjoyed. If you put them in the garage and lock them up, they tend to perhaps not do as well as cars that you use on a regular basis, correct?
Well, I think I'm going to disagree. I think there's two groups of people here. There's the enthusiasts, like everybody that's standing around us today here at the Mary Miller, and there's those that are looking at classic cars and saying, well, maybe a 928 on the list. I can buy one of those as investment. 1% in the bank on your money isn't very much money, but on a 928, maybe in a few years' time, I can sell it with a small profit, but it'll be a lot more than my interest on the same amount of money.
Well, I don't know which bank you're with, but I don't know any banks are offering 1% at the moment, with the base rate being as low as it is.
Well, see me later and I'll tell you.
Okay, so let's talk about, you know, the hot potato, the recent prices achieved at auction. You know, instead of the so-called phantom sales, the real ones. We had a etched Porsche restoration car done by a PC centre. That went for 49 plus buyer's premium plus VAT. That car would have stood him in probably 55k all in, wouldn't it?
Yes, I think so. I think what we've got is a select number of cars in very good condition, generally low mileage. By low mileage I mean comfortably less than 50,000 miles.
Yeah.
That are falling into the price selling bracket of somewhere between 40,000 and, pessimistically I think, or optimistically I should say, at 60 odd thousand pounds, and that's where the prices are coming from for these particularly good cars.
Well, I spoke to a gentleman at Hexagon Classic in Highgate, and he said that he had 6 cars in storage ready for sale for next year, because of course recognising the 40th anniversary, and these guys are, you know, of course they're enthusiasts, but they're there to make money, so they felt very confident that collection of 6 cars would be sold next year for great money. What else have we seen that's been selling, changing hands for? We've had some very early cars have been sold.
Yes, the early cars I don't tend to hear more about, because there are less early cars around that seem to attract the attention that the GTs and the GTSs attain. So yes, there are some early cars I've seen and heard of, and I believe in the low 20s to the high 20s, that sort of price range for those cars, because of course don't forget, if you're going to bring those cars back to condition, because they are in effect almost 40 years old, you're going to spend probably a lot more money.
So if somebody's looking for a 928 today, let's not go through the buyer's guide because you wrote the book, it's available on Amazon, thank you very much. But in terms of where do you see the value being in terms of today? If somebody wants to buy a 9 to 8, are we avoiding the £4,000-5,000 basket cases that are going to cost us a lot of money, or are we spending as much as we can on a really good car that won't need work doing to it?
Again, I think there's two groups. I think there's those that can afford to buy the more expensive cars and perhaps spend some money on them and therefore get their money back by getting them up to this £40,000 area. Then there's the other end of the range where there are some good cars that are not as good condition but are worth spending the money on because the base car is okay.
Yeah.
The ones that have gone a long way in terms of being not looked after, poor condition, they're probably too far gone for most.
Yeah, because we know that an interior restoration can be run into £5,000-6,000. We know, I mean, you did it yourself recently, didn't you? You had a windows out, full body respray and body work.
Yes.
Now that was more than a couple £100, wasn't it?
Yes. I mean, you're talking £5,000 plus here. It depends on who you're going to,
yeah,
and how big the company is as to whether that's £5,000 or £10,000, something in that region. It's all about getting the right company or the right man to do your car to get the condition. Now that applies to whether the car is a relatively new car like my own or whether it's an early car. But I think the ones that are holding their value best, outside of the ones that we've already discussed, the GTs and the GTSs, are simply those that have done a lower mileage, and therefore you can get a better price for them for less effort, less money to refurbish them.
Well, for example, I brought my now today it went past 140,000 miles, my S, a 1981 car, but I also bought the car that I co-owned with a school friend, 37,000 mile original, which, you know, you just value today, red. You know, how do you repeat a 37,000 mile car? You can't buy the mileage, can you?
No, this is the issue. It's like the GTS that's here today. It's done 100,000 miles, but it's worth more than £40,000 because it's in good condition.
Yeah.
And it's a manual. How many manuals are there? There's only 45 of them.
Yep.
We don't know that every one of those 45 is surviving anyway, so the numbers are very low.
And in what condition, of course, that's the other thing, isn't it, really?
Condition every time.
Yeah, absolutely. So next year we've got the 40th anniversary, we've got the date for Brooklands.
Yep.
Everybody should be joining Porsche Club Great Britain.
We'd like them to join, we'd like them to come to the event.
Yeah.
It is a public event, so come along on the day, and we hope it'll be a day to remember.
So lastly, I always like to put you on the spot a little bit, unarranged questions. What was your latest, most memorable trip in your car? Because I know you use your car a lot, don't you?
What's the most memorable? Well, I think it's the most recent. I've just been going around Oulton Park on a track day and revving the engine to hell and thinking, God, the temperature gauge hasn't moved. The car's 20 odd years old. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and it's just soaking it all up, just like it always does, because it's a Porsche 928.
Fantastic. Well, if you've got any kind of recommendation to make, that is probably it. So, David Hemmings, thank you very much, and hey, we'll see you next year at Brooklands.
Graham, thanks very much indeed.
As always, you're very welcome. Thank you.